Just stand over on that side. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today, and online students, thank you for joining us electronically. We have a guest speaker today, and this is Chris Kinsel with Rich Broadcasting. He's a general manager, and he is here today to share with you information about radio advertising. And I hope you'll see why you might want to include that as part of your marketing plan. I was talking with class students earlier, and although you may not be in a position to make the final advertising decisions when you first graduate from your college, you will likely have input into those decisions, especially since you'll be very likely the target market they're trying to reach. So when you're able to share with them why it's of value to advertise via radio, they'll take you seriously because you'll have knowledge and be able to back up the why they should do that. So thank you, Chris, for joining us.
As she said, I'm Chris. Radio is all I've ever done. I started in Rupert. Anybody know where Rupert is? All right. Started in Rupert in 1980 playing these things called 45s. Ever heard of a 45? Okay, it's a little tiny record. And DJs had to be there 24/7. In fact, I'd play the national anthem and say goodbye at midnight. And then DJs would sign on at 6 in the morning. Needless to say, radio's changed a lot in the 36 years that I've been a part of it. I've done everything in radio except engineering, and I love it. Radio is more effective today than it's ever been. In fact, just a little tidbit about the next thing for radio. We're playing the commercials on our 3 stations now. There's an app called Next Radio. And if you'd like to Google that or download it from Google Play or from your app store on your iPhone, Next Radio is the next thing for radio. You'll simply open up your Next Radio app and it will show you every radio station within your area. The only prerequisite is that your carrier turn on your FM antenna. Did you know that every phone has an FM antenna in it? Mm-hmm. It's just not activated. Sprint and T-Mobile are on board with us right now. AT&T is this close. I doubt if Apple will ever take my iPhone and use the FM antenna. And the reason is, sadly, for now it looks like, is because they can't track it. You can't track if people are listening with an FM antenna. And as you know, in this world, especially marketing, data is king, right? They want to know what you're looking at all the time. So that's the next thing for radio, is to have apps. At this point, all 3 of our stations have very effective apps. That takes your battery, and streaming. With Next Radio, very little battery, hardly any streaming at all. I've worked all over the country in different markets. I have grandkids that live in Bellevue, so hence I'm now working in the Sun Valley area, so I can be close to them, but I love what I do. The 3 stations that I manage are Catch 95.3. It's a classic rock station, much like the Snake, if you're familiar with that here. Catch reaches the Wood River Valley pretty much, basically. K-Ski, we call it AAA, or world-class music, and it plays the current music with an emphasis on 90s for alternative. It's for the people that don't want to hear Katy Perry and Taylor Swift, bless their hearts. K-Ski won't ever play that. And then Star 107.5 is our premier station for the Magic Valley here in Twin Falls. I have just about every major car dealer and several other businesses that are on Star 107. And we'll break it down a little bit. Radio, a little bit about radio, and this, I believe you all have access to these slides as well. Radio is adaptable, okay? You can change it on the fly. I can actually change a commercial. A client can call me in the morning and I can have it on by the afternoon. There's no way that can happen in TV or print. In digital, maybe, depending on the format. But we can change it. There's no setup fees for graphic artists or whatnot. There's no directors or talent in TV. I have over 35 years experience. I've been writing commercials forever. We basically do 30s or 60s. That's the amount of time that we have to block out. Radio is always on, and it goes with you. And our lives are so filled with thoughts and ideas that it's harder to retain things, but if we're hearing and touching that message several times, we're more likely going to remember it. I love when a customer says, I hate hearing that Everton mattress commercial. I cannot stand it, but you know, they remembered Everton mattress, right? And that's the goal. Radio does that better than anybody. I think these smartphones make us dumber. How many phone numbers do you have memorized?
Like 20.
20? Well, you're not the norm.
I have 0.
Not too many, right? I remember my mom's number, that's about it. But we need to be reminded, and this graph was actually done back in 1885, and I think it's as relevant, if not more, today. We get immediate recall at 100%. 20 minutes later, we'll remember 60%, unless you take really good notes in your classes. 1 hour down to 50, 40. We usually retain about 20% of everything we hear and touch, okay? Radio can have a commercial play once an hour for 18 hours, okay? So if you're listening to it in the car in the morning commute and listening in the afternoon, or maybe while you go to lunch, you're gonna hear it maybe 3 times or more a day, and that's important. We basically cover all of Southern Idaho. Anything, if there's anything you should learn about FM, is the higher you get that tower, the more area it's going to cover. We got some pretty high mountains in the Sun Valley area, and we're on one of the highest for all 3 stations. So we cover Southern Idaho and 7 counties. You notice that with DVRs, people are time shifting the way they watch TV. I don't know about you, but I record almost every show. I DVR it. I don't go at 7 o'clock on Thursday, I better sit down and watch this show. By DVR and past your TV shows, commercials, people are time shifting their TV and skipping those. Newspaper readership is on the decline. As traditional mediums go, only radio has maintained its reach. I can't believe it. The Times News, when I used to live here 10, 15 years ago, was this thick every day. And it's not much. They're doing everything through magicvalley.com, which is very smart. The older demographics are still reading the newspaper for the most part. This just quickly, and I'm not here to sell you on our stations, but just quickly, this is what I show to business people when I ask them about the stations. Star 107.5 targets the soccer moms, all right? Business owners love women. Women make the biggest decisions on buying. It's just the way it is, guys, all right? Or they sign off on it. So we're targeting women 18-54. This is what my 34-year-old daughter and my grandkids listen to, all right? Soccer moms, all right? We go back to the 90s, but you're gonna hear Katy Perry, Maroon 5, Bruno Mars, Adele, that kind of music, okay? Which this is called a hot AC. AC stands for adult contemporary. So a hot AC means adult contemporary, more upbeat and current. It's the hottest format in the country right now. More people are listening to this format than any other. Dual market reach, we reach both valleys. We do something very different from most radio stations. Every Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 12 noon, we don't play one stinking commercial. None. 0, which is odd because that's the only way we make our money. But we do that to get the businesses to play us in their stores all day. Or if somebody's listening first thing in the morning, they're not turning it because we don't break. So they may walk away and keep our station on all day, and it works. We also do a Latin show on Sundays. As you may know that the Spanish, Hispanic, Latino community is big here, especially in where I live in Bellevue. Huge Latino population. So we take our Hot AC format and change it to all Latino programming every Sunday, noon to 7. And our advertisers love that because they want to hit that audience. Catch is the station that targets people like me, a man 55 years old, that wants to hear Led Zeppelin and the Rolling Stones, even the Beatles or Steve Miller, Queen, etc. The demographic on a classic rock station is 25-65 with an emphasis on men. Okay? Not that women don't like their classic rock, but usually it's the men that we go after. A lot of local stuff in Catch. Local interviews are a must. They only have a weekly newspaper there, so we have business people and nonprofits come on and we interview them for 3 to 5 minutes. You'll never hear that on a station here in Twin, unless it's a news talk. So we take our music station, stop the music, and do interviews for 3 to 5 minutes, only because that's what people in the Woodward Valley expect. It's like Mayberry. All right. Anybody not know what that reference is to? Mayberry?
I will hurt you if you say you don't know.
It's an old black and white sitcom about this tiny community, all right? Google Mayberry, you'll like it. And then Kasky. Kasky's been around for a long time. That signal goes to Jackpot, Nevada. There's no other station playing this type of music, as you can see who some of the artists are. Okay, a lot of indie and alternative. Very different than any other station you'll listen to. We do a lot of giveaways, ski reports, interviews, local news, weather. 1854 is the demographic. A AAA or world-class music format is very broad, 1854. And it's a light alternative. Some people call it coffee shop alternative. Okay? And that's all I have for that. That's what we call a media kit. And that's what we present to people when we first meet them. Will this scroll down too?
No, actually,
Okay,
I don't
it
know.
has to be on PowerPoint, doesn't it?
I think so.
All right, this is more about what you're in class for. Let's talk about, you know what I tell a business person about our particular market. By the way, I work for Lee Family Broadcasting. I don't know if you're familiar with Hot 100. Used to be 99 The Buzz. It's 99. I was on the air for over 20 years with them, and found out that you don't make any money unless you go into sales. So, I'm in management. But as far as sales goes, there's 5 elements of an effective advertising campaign. The first is you have to find out what the specific needs are of that business person. You go in and find a problem. You know what? I ordered too many red Lazy Boy chairs and they're just sitting in the back. I need to move them. Well, that's a problem, then you've got to solve it. Let's have a Valentine's Lazy Boy chair giveaway. Okay, I'm just thinking off the top of my head. But you have to find their specific need and their problem. And then it's, what is your campaign trying to accomplish and why? We find out what are the time frame for the results. Is this a call to action, immediate, or do you want to do branding over a long period of time? It's always nice to ask, what's your budget? You know, I don't want to go into a brand new business with a $3,000 budget for the first month and they're thinking 300 is too much. Oftentimes I share with business owners that they'll allocate their budget according to what their gross sales were the year previous. If your gross sales were $100,000 last year and this month, let's take 10% of that and use it for marketing. Not just radio, but across the 10-15% is the norm for a business to allocate. All right? Put this down. And then it's always good, what are your expectations? A lot of times you'll put together a radio campaign, say the Lazy Boy chair for Valentine's Day. What are your expectations if we do this $2,000 budget over 3 weeks? And the guy might say, well, I expect to sell all of them. Well, that might not be a realistic expectations. You need to find out what that is first. And then make sure it's a consistent message. One of the worst things that business owners can do is be on 4 different radio stations here in Southern Idaho, and all 4 radio stations play a different commercial. You know, pick one commercial you love and play it across the board. Same thing with TV. If you're on more than one TV network, play the same, because you want that message to be consistent, that recall, touching the same thing over and over again. We also ask about how the staff support. If you just work for that business, are you going to get your staff involved in that sale or that promotion? The worst thing that can happen is a customer goes in and say, I heard on the radio about XYZ, and the staffer goes, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't know we were doing XYZ. So make sure that everybody is on board. How will you communicate to your staff and affiliates how I win, why your campaign? And then follow up. When's your next campaign? I did a promotion recently with Sportsman's Warehouse. They're a regular advertiser with me. They love hitting that Wood River Valley because they don't sell stuff like that there. People come to Twin to buy it. And he did a balloon pop. So this morning's meeting was, how did the balloon pop promotion go? He said, you know what? It was the best that we can ever remember. And that's because this campaign, he added the Wood River Market and the Burley Rupert Market. So guess what? He's going to use us again, Cat Country and Rupert, and me in Wood River, because he got results. So you always want to follow up. That's how you make your next sale too. And you know, guys, we don't have to wait till the end. If you have a question, all right, if it's pertinent to what I'm talking about, just let me know, okay? We're known as Rich Broadcasting. We are the largest radio group in the entire state. We have 16 radio stations. We're placed in Idaho Falls, Pocatello, Jackson Hole, and the last group was Sun Valley. We purchased those about 3 years ago before I came on board. By doing that, it sets us apart from any other radio group, way more experience. Our owner and CEO met with him this morning. He drove from Idaho Falls to meet with me at Starbucks. Has anybody ever heard of KSL in Salt Lake City? The #1 station by far in KSL TV. He was the president of KSL TV and radio. About 5 years ago, he decided, I don't want to work for Bonneville anymore. I want my own radio station. So he started buying them up. So now we're the largest radio group, and it's an honor to work for him. Did a Skype interview from Richmond, Virginia with him. Our advantage is significant reach. Okay, the goal is to find the media that can reach the largest number of potential customers. I have a lot of business people. Bish's RV is one of my accounts. They have stores in Idaho Falls and Pocatello. So we put a radio campaign together for more than one market. Okay. Also, we need to make sure that our advertising has a meaningful connection. Back in the 70s and 80s, maybe even 90s, somebody screaming at you, sell, 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 used to be the way to do. Now, nothing against the advertising agency that does Everton Mattress, but for the most part, that does not work anymore. Advertising is about connecting with somebody in a meaningful way to target the right people. Right now, the best way to advertise is to create an emotional tie to your business with a well-crafted message. In other words, having 2 women talking about the interior decorator. Okay, one woman, you hear a radio commercial, 2 women. One woman, oh my gosh, I can't believe this living room. The other one, well, I had so-and-so from Interior Designs come in and she did this and this and this. You're kidding me. I have to call her. You're doing an emotional connect with the listener, the woman, because that's who's going to call the interior decorator. And she's going to think, wow, I would love for my friends to walk in my house and love what I did. See the difference between yelling 50% off and that emotional tie? So that's something else that you want to do. You also want to make sure that message is targeted. I'm not going to put an interior design person on my classic rock station. I put her on a hot AC. Okay, target the women. And then you want to look at your frequency. You want to make sure that you're running enough commercials that it's going to be effective. You know, you could be on the #1 station in Twin Falls, which by the way is KZJ. Okay, #1. They have been even when I was a kid living here. You can have the best radio station with the highest cume. And by the way, cume means how many different people are listening. If I give a radio term and you don't know what it is, just...
Is it an acronym?
That's a good question. I don't know. It's C-U-M-E, but it's cume, and that's real important to business owners. What is the cume of your radio station? But your cume can be broke down in demographics and day parts too. But your total cume, 6 a.m. to midnight, 7 days a week. What is that? KZJ's is #1. But you can be on the best station, and to my previous point, if you only run 2 commercials a day, they're charging $50 a piece, you're wasting your money. Unless one's at 7:35 in the morning and maybe the other's at 5:15. When Blue Lakes Boulevard is backed up, when it takes a half an hour to go from one end of town to the other on Blue Lakes, that's when you want to advertise, okay? But if you want a more affordable price, like $20 a spot, then you want to spread those out and you want to make sure it's happening enough. There's 3 things that make radio work or not work. All the time I go into business, I've tried radio, doesn't work. Well, the first thing is, are you on the right radio station? Okay, some people don't realize that it targets different demographics. The second is, how many times a day did you advertise, or week or month? And the third is, how creative was your message? If you're not on the right station, reaching the wrong demographic with not a good message, it will fail. Guaranteed. So I always say, well, I've got a little experience in this. Let me show you what I can do for you and build a campaign. Okay? I love showing this one. We talked a little bit about TV earlier. Nielsen rates all the radio stations and TVs, the #1 rater, Nielsen. Used to be Arbitron. Nielsen just bought Arbitron. They used to only do TV until 3 years ago. Now Nielsen does radio and TV. And last August 19th, this was released. For the first time in a decade or more, advertisers estimate that 64% of Americans are reached by broadcast radio. That's what they think. Nielsen's survey said 93% of Americans are touched by radio on a week-to-week basis. 93%. Okay? And it has a lot to do with millennials. All right? The millennials are watching less TV. They're watching Netflix and Amazon Prime or whatever, DVDs and playing games. But anyway, Nielsen data shows that radio reaches 93% of millennials, 22% more millennials than TV. And And there's the comparisons, broadcast, TV, Pandora, and Spotify. By the way, a little note about Pandora. Pandora is losing millions of dollars every year. They're going belly up. They're for sale. The problem with Pandora is they can't get people to pay money to listen to it. You know, most everybody I know doesn't mind a couple commercials now and then. But they don't make much money unless people subscribe, much like satellite radio. So they're for sale. And you'll probably hear about the same thing with Spotify. The most recent Nielsen Total Audience report showed that radio is now the #1 reach medium, #1, surpassing TV with total audience millennials by an even greater margin. The research makes it clear that while TV and new forms of media may get more attention, they don't even come near the reach of radio. Radio is truly the mass reach mobile media. Okay? In my phone, I have 3 apps that I downloaded, and all 3 of my radio stations are in here. How many people have tuners in their homes anymore, where you tune to the right dial position? People like me, and I think I'm techie for my age, but I just play the app, got a Bluetooth speaker in my bedroom, and I hear it. I don't need to go to my laptop, I don't need to go to an FM clock radio sitting by my bed. I just plug this in, and it goes through my Bluetooth device. My TV, my sound for my TV, I don't have big old speakers with wires going to them. That's the thing of the past. Everything's Bluetooth. So if I want to listen to my radio stations in my house, I take it downstairs and listen through my subwoofer and my wave. This is how you listen to radio now. It's not just in your car. Okay? Anyway, great news for radio. Great news for radio. And a lot of that is because of the DVR that's going on. All right. All right. Okay, when we go into an advertiser, these are the 10 silver bullet questions that we ask. It's real important. You want to cover all these. What's your process for making decisions like this? Nothing's worse than spending 45 minutes with somebody, convince them that you're a good media, and may I go back and put a proposal together for you, only to find out, well, my boss will be in town next week, I'll ask him. What's your process for making decisions? Are you the owner, or are you the decision maker? Salespeople waste a ton of time by talking to the wrong people. Next, what time frame do you have in mind? Do you want to be on next week or next year? I'm working on a campaign now for the fall for people. Why are you looking to invest? What are you trying to accomplish? Who makes the decisions? What's the biggest problem you're looking for us to solve with our marketing? What have you seen that's particularly appealing to you? Like, have you heard other radio commercials that you like? How do you define success? What's the one thing you want to avoid in a decision like this? How will you know that you made the right decision? Those are questions you want to be asking. The first meeting that you ever have with a client is to get a meeting. Okay?
This is also a great intro to your personal selling segment, which we'll be doing later in the term. And a lot of what you're learning today is applicable for that as well. So this is phenomenal.
I go into businesses all day. I will do it this afternoon, okay? So I'm the only rep from our stations that comes to Twin. Plus I know the market really well. I know a lot of people here. You want to do a needs assessment interview. I don't know why that's up there. It's called a CNA. You want to write down CNA stands for a client needs
Assessment.
an assessment or analysis. Client needs analysis. I tell people, can I come, I walk in, it's easier to get a meeting if you walk in the door. Like I went to Southern RV today. in Jerome by Con Paulus, and I walked in, and the lady, I carry my book, so I got sales guy written all over me, okay? Everybody knows it, and that's good for me, because I want to get to the right person. You want to talk to Matt? Yeah, I want to talk to Matt. So I introduced myself, say, I know I don't have an appointment, but I'd like to come back and talk to you about people up north buying their RVs and boats, because nobody sells them up north. Because, wow, yeah, that'd be a great idea. We get on our calendars and I make a time to come back. I tell them my first meeting, I'm not going to try to sell you anything. I'm going to fill out one of these forms. Okay, how long have you been in business? How many stores do you have? What are your biggest challenges? Who are your competitors? Do you regularly lose business to the internet? What percentage of your customers are male, adult, teen, female? Where have you advertised? What was the most successful? What's the least effective? And then, of course, the next meeting. Okay? And I just take all the information within like 30 minutes, and then I say, you know what? If I could come up with a campaign to increase your revenue and solve some of these problems you've shared with me, would you be open to listening to it? 9.5 times out of 10, sure. Okay, another thing you could do is already have a commercial made from them based on a direct mail flyer or their newspaper ad, and you do a commercial. And you say, by the way, I did a commercial for you based on this marketing. Can I bring it back with me and play it for you? 100%. Every business owner wants to hear a commercial that you've done. It's a great way to get that second meeting. Okay, so that's called a CNA. That's what we use. Too many people, too many salespeople that I'll hire, and they've already been doing this for a few years, all they do is want to take in a package. I can give you 20 spots for $100. They don't do any of this stuff. You don't build a relationship with the business owner unless you ask a bunch of questions, okay? And if the business owner's sitting back in his chair with his arms folded, you better start talking different, because usually that means they're not receptive. And they should do most of the talking. If you notice, these are all questions. They're just questions. I want that business owner to talk, open up. I want to know about his grandkids. What nonprofits is he associated with? I want a relationship with him, okay? Most people in this valley go in and, hey, I can give you so many spots for so much. I know you got a Mother's Day sale coming up. Should we put something together? That's not the best way to sell. You're not looking after the needs of that business owner. You're just trying to make your 20% commission. That's all you're doing. There we go. You know one thing that radio can do that TV and newspaper can't? Here we are, live and direct. Come out and join us. Free steaks for everybody. 20% off the entire store. Okay, people are driving in their cars, so they're already on the move. They're not watching a TV commercial at 10 o'clock the night before. They're ready. They hear about something that's going on. Of course, we promote it. But we can show up and do a 2-hour live remote. This is the pitch sheet that we use. You know what? I think I may have done the wrong one. Hang on. Here it is. Yeah, the other one only had 2 of my stations. Let us bring our listeners to your business for our on-location event. For 2 hours, we play music, give away prizes, create a buzz, and drive new customers to your business. Sportsman's Warehouse in June is going to team up with the Jerome Gun Club, I found out this morning. We're looking at doing a live broadcast there for 2 hours. First of all, when the listenership hears their favorite DJ talking about an event, they're like, wow, if he thinks it's cool, she thinks it's cool, maybe I should look into it. 3 days prior to the event, we run 8 commercials a day, 6 a to 7 p. That's 13 hours, 8 hours of those 13 hours. I'm gonna have the DJ do a 15-second. Hey, this is Doug Donahoe Morning Show on Catch. Be sure and join me this Saturday at the Jerome Country Club. There's gonna be free this, we're gonna raffle this, and you get to shoot any gun you want that's gonna be on display from vendors. Okay, Doug's saying, I'll be there, join me. Then we do 2 hours. We do 6 2-minute live breaks, 3 an hour, okay? On-air personality, website promotes it, Facebook, we promote it all week, and then we take pictures right before the remote starts in real time for Facebook. We have over 5,000 friends on our Catch Facebook site. I think that's more than KMBT if I'm not mistaken. So we make it a fun event. Something like that, it's $500 for the broadcast. The DJ gets $50 an hour, so you understand some of how the wiggle room is. We ask them to do at least $600 in additional radio advertising. So total investment is $1,200. Okay. Whether you use that $600 for 1 week or 2 weeks, you got to be flexible with the client. So live broadcast is great. I remember when Sportsman's Warehouse first opened their doors, when I was DJing for Kim Lee, and we did a Cat Country live remote. Here I am 15 years later selling him advertising this morning, you know, saying, hey, we can do live remotes for you too. Okay, I think I just about got everything. Oh, here we go. We give this to our clients when we're doing the CNA. We say over 40,000 different advertisers were surveyed on why they advertise. Could we go through this checklist? And you give them a pin, you want them to be engaged, and they go through and they check. Do you want to move old inventory? Do you want to increase name awareness? Do you want to generate new customers? Do you want to promote off-site merchandise? Do you want to promote new merchandise? Are you hiring? Have you moved and want to give new directions? So when I go to put a proposal together, I look at this checklist that the business owner gave me so I can do a better job for him. The worst thing you can ever do at your CNA meeting with a client is go, so how many locations do you have? Or, so tell me what you sell here. All right, they have this thing called Google, you know? We didn't have it when I first started, but you should walk in there already knowing a lot about this business, right? You know, these business owners, they want to make sure that their time is valuable. You don't want to waste it. You better do your homework. So we put together a pre-contact checklist. LinkedIn, anybody know about LinkedIn, right? Good, if you're in business, you should have a LinkedIn profile, okay? I still have tons of people from Virginia online. Subscribe to their Twitter feed, okay? Visit their company website, that's a no-brainer. Before I went into Southern Idaho RV this morning, I was all over their website yesterday, all over it. Then, sign up for Google Alerts on the business. They have a business page, for example. You'll see everything going through that. It helps the client when you say, by the way, I just friended your Facebook page. You know, you're already scoring points. Get to know the company besides just the primary contact. You know, I always try to introduce myself to other people that work at the company. We call them gatekeepers. They keep you from the decision makers, so it's good to know their names. Bring them a CD, you know, whatever. And then find about their financial standings in the company. But that's something you could do online the day before your meeting. I'm going to give you an example of what a rate card is. This isn't our current rate card. I wouldn't share that. But I want you to understand that radio, unlike other media, we're like a hotel. And we only have so many rooms in that hotel. Why? Because if you play too many commercials, people aren't gonna listen. If people don't listen, then the advertisers aren't gonna get people to go to their store. So this is called a grid rate card. Nobody else here does it. We're the only ones, and they've used this at KSL in Salt Lake. You see the different day parts: morning, middays, afternoon drive, evenings, okay, and then weekends. You notice the length, 15, 30s, or 60s. And then you notice there's different grids. Well, the grid 1 gives prices for these day parts and length of commercials based on this is a under 70% sellout. I get a report every Monday morning from my office manager that tells me what percentage of inventory do we have left. If I'm not at 70%, I can sell you a commercial much less. Let's say a morning drive, 60-second commercial right now for May or June is $20. If you wait till the beginning of May or June, it's gonna cost you $31 because I may be at 90% sellout, okay? So you all know that business is about supply and demand. Same thing with radio. The more commercials I have open to sell, the better the price. Hence, Mr. Business Owner, we should book this early so you can get a better price. Get more commercials, a bigger bang for your buck, okay? So that's called a grid rate card. I never used it until I got to Rich Broadcasting. That's all the presentations that I have.
What questions do you all have? And I expect everyone to ask at least one.
I have a question. I love K-Ski. I get it great in the car, but I
Yeah.
want to play it at the office, and I want to play it on just the tuner radio. Why do I get it so good in the car, but I can't get it on the tuner at home or at the office?
Well, if you have a building like Bishop's RV that's metal, that could have something to do with it.
Oh.
Do you have a metal building?
It is a metal
There
building,
you go.
actually. Yeah, and at home, actually, we have a concrete. Yeah, okay.
But you shouldn't be using an antenna to get your radio anyway. Just have a computer with some speakers maybe? Or does it go throughout the whole business?
Well, we have multiple radios set up, and I like to play them on the same station, because then as you walk through the building, but I guess I could probably figure something out. They gotta have Bluetooth splitters.
St. Luke's, I was doing physical therapy about a month ago, and they had Bluetooth speakers all over their office, and they just stream from the computer.
Are the speakers married, you think? I mean,
Well, they all are in the same, like I have a subwoofer and I have a bar for my TV, and they're both in the same Bluetooth frequency.
wow.
When you connect to your iPhone or whatever, it'll ask for the name of that Bluetooth device.
Thank you.
I'm glad you listened to Casey.
I love Casey, and then I also make us, try to listen to it at work, because it's the one station that people don't sing along with, like you play
Yeah.
KZJ, which I love KZJ. I actually do events for Town Square Media. I work for Janice for the home show. I don't sell
Oh,
radio
do you?
advertising. Yes.
I know Janice.
Yes, and I love it.
Here,
but,
Casey, you listening?
oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So, you play KDZJ, everybody sings along. You play Cool, people sing along. You play K-Ski, everybody enjoys it, but they don't sing along, and so they're more productive. I
It's
love it.
true, because we play a lot of indie music. A lot of indie and alternative stuff that you don't hear on mainstream radio.
Keeps you happy but mellow, and it's not sad like country.
It's upbeat.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, good. What's your first name?
Courtney,
Hi, Courtney.
it's nice to meet you, and I remember listening to you years ago on the, what was it, 99.9 or?
Probably.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I'm so enthralled by radio. I just work for the home show, did the boost for the home show. And, yeah, but I think radio is the neatest thing.
We did live broadcast all the time at events like home shows. In fact, we would do packages for the business. You buy so many commercials, we'll throw in a 3-minute live broadcast from the Home and Garden Show.
Wow. Yeah. I want to do a home show in Sun Valley. They used to do one years ago. Spectre did it in a tent. And there wasn't like a lot of people, but I think you totally have a market there for a home show.
Well, they're having it at the end of April.
The Haley
They're
one?
having it in the new ice rink.
Oh, really? The
You-
one by the Kiwanis?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, the Kiwanis are doing it. But this year, the ice rink that they just built, millions and millions of dollars, okay, it's right by the skateboard park. They melt the ice on April the 15th and it becomes an event center.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm already working on advertising for the Home and Garden Show.
Good, good, because yeah, I think you guys should do it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening.
Thank you, I love it.
I go into a lot of businesses and they say they're familiar with KC.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, who's next?
I have a question. So I'm guessing you guys started out with one station. What made you guys expand to 3 different stations?
Money. The more people we can reach, the more advertising we can sell. Star 107.5, actually, let me go back to it. Star 107.5 was a jazz station, very Sun Valley-ish, right? A jazz station, and it was really cool. The advertisers weren't getting anybody coming in saying they're in the commercials because so many, it was more of a 60-plus audience, okay? And it just went to AC, so Rich Broadcasting changed that. These 3 stations already existed, but we changed the format on Star. We're always looking at changing formats. The Magic Valley radio stations, y'all went through like a world war with radio here. Everybody's changed their formats. Well, maybe not Town Square, but every locally owned and Lee family all had format changes. So that's common. Usually you have stations, but if you make it change, usually change the format. Okay? And he bought Pocatello out of Fall Stations first, then Jackson Hole, then us. And we're gonna buy more. We're gonna buy more. Yeah.
How long do you advertise for, like you said, you want to use the same advertisement? How long do you do that for, a couple months or?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I have a slide that talks about that. Hang on. Here we go. I mentioned briefly branding and call to action. Branding is fewer commercials over a greater period of time just to get your name out there. I say to advertisers, be known before you're needed. Business owners eat that up. Be known before you need, because it's so true. You know, I may not need some tires from Commercial Tire, but when I do, who's the first person I'm gonna think about? Person I've heard the most about. So that's branding. Then there's traffic building, then there's event. So branding is low cost, low risk. You do less, an example is 4 weeks, and you'll have this in your handouts. 4 weeks, 10 ads each week. And the ads play Monday and Friday during peak listening hours. So we can do fewer commercials, like I said earlier, let's put them in drive time, where people are more likely gonna hear them, okay? This goes through the benefits. We usually do a 3-month contract on that, okay? Then there's the traffic building, where you do 2 weeks, 30 ads each week, Monday through Friday during peak listening areas. This has more of a call to action with it. Before it's just, hey, don't forget the guy that fixed the Ferris wheel got his tires at Les Schwab. I don't know if you've seen that commercial or not. That's branding. But traffic building, traffic is people coming into your business. And then the last is an event, like with the gun show on June 16th with Sportsman's Warehouse. That's an event. You do 1 week, 60 commercials, okay, Monday through Friday during peak listening hours, which would be 6A to 7P. 6A to 7. Most people aren't listening to the radio after 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Okay, they're watching their TV, going through all the commercials. Okay, so those are the 3 types, and that gives you a 10 ad per week, 30 ad per week, and a 60 ad per week.
And with that, are those flexible, because like you were saying, to put it on multiple stations, so, because what I'm looking at is more service-based, but it's a bigger demographic, you know, men and women both. So I'd like to be on, you know, something with the soccer moms and the rock and roll dads and even grandma and grandpa, everything. Are there flexible plans with that to cover, like I said, all those different demographics?
There are discounts given for multiple station buys, but that is per station.
Okay.
Yeah. I have some clients, like Sun Valley Company, buys all 3 stations.
Right.
And I have several places that buy all 3 stations. Rob Green, for example, will alternate. They'll stay on Catch every week, but they'll alternate Kasky and Star each week. So it just depends on who you're after. And then when we ask people, when they say, well, I want to be on all 3, and we say, well, what's your core demographic? What's your core? And a lot of business owners will say, well, I really don't know. Well, you should find out. You know, keep data. You should also ask people where they heard about you. Every customer you should ask, hey, how'd you hear about us? I try to get my customers that are advertising put on your website when they go to email you, because a lot of times they don't give an email address, you have to fill out a form. Have a drop-down menu that says, how did you hear us? Was it radio, TV, direct mail, or word of mouth?
Right.
So you can see how many people are actually listening or reading your paper or whatever it is. So yeah, that's per station. Yes.
How many advertisements do you guys advertise per day?
I can tell you per hour, okay? Most stations take 4 breaks. Rich Broadcasting, we only take 3. I guarantee you, you listen to Bob FM or KZJ. And by the way, I know all those guys, so I'm not bad-mouthing them in any way, but most stations play 4 breaks an hour. I did when I was with Lee Family, but our stations, KSL, owner, CEO, has noticed that you're gonna get more revenue if you do better for your clients, and by playing more music, you do that. So we take 3 breaks an hour. Each break can be up to 3 minutes long, so that's 9 minutes an hour. Okay, so 3 at 3 minutes. A lot of stations here will take 4 breaks at 4. I know because I used to sell it. So the difference between 9 minutes an hour and 16 minutes an hour is huge. By the way, the younger the demographic, like Star, the younger the demographic, the more likely they're gonna turn it when there's a commercial. It's just a fact. So now you understand why we go commercial free for 3 hours, 9 to noon, to keep those people listening. By the way, we sell that too. D.L. Evans Bank. 3 hours of commercial-free music brought to you by D.L. Evans Bank. Next time you're in, tell them thanks. It's not really advertising, but it is. Yes?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well,
Oh, you.
how about some different things?
Oh, okay. What does it take to start a radio station? And did you look at doing that?
All right, so exactly, I want
You're kidding. I read your mind.
Similar, very similar. I want to start my own radio station.
You like to
Yeah.
start your own?
Because you hear about that on the internet, you know, that people can start their own streaming TV station or radios. But what does it take, money-wise and time investment?
You
Is it
ever
possible?
heard of the Utah Jazz? Okay, the general manager of the Utah Jazz is our biggest investor.
Wow.
You have to have some pretty deep pockets.
Well, we're talking, on average, if I had to guess, 2.5 million
Wow.
per station.
What if you just wanted to start one station in a local market, you know,
I'd set up a podcast.
podcast?
Yeah, that's a good start.
So a podcast is the best way to start.
It's cheap. You can send links to all your peeps and friends and Twitter birdies and, you know, just have them listen and then they tell their friends and pretty soon you get a following. Nice thing about digital is you can track it. You can track it. I can't track an FM antenna, but what I can do, and I didn't bring the slide, darn it. hang on. Oh. Okay, I'll just tell you about it. I like having a visual. So when I was the GM at some Richmond radio station, that's why I moved away from the great state of Idaho for a while, and learned about these things called trees that are everywhere. I worked with a social media outlet called Audio Boom. If you want to jot that down, you're going to love it. It's called Audio Boom. Just Google it. It's social media for voice. So for example, let's say you go on a trip to London and you're there at Big Ben and you take a picture. Well, with that picture, you press a button and you talk about it. So when it posts on your social media, they hear your voice or anybody else's voice, or the top of the hour, the clock goes off. They hear it. So I looked at Audio Boom and thought, that's kind of cool, because I put my air checks on it for like a resume for people to hear my on-air stuff. But then I thought, why can't I put commercials on there? So I developed a Rich Broadcasting account, and most every advertiser, I upload their commercial, and then I give the advertiser a link. Say, here, radio is now tangible. I have several of my clients that will put the link on their email signature. Every email that they send, and how many emails a day do business people send? I mean, hundreds, literally. And at the bottom, click here to hear our latest radio commercial. Or better yet, a call to action. Click here to learn about how you get 50% off all rifles at Sportsman's Warehouse. Take that radio and take it online. That's invaluable. But when I do it, I put the radio station logo on it. So I don't charge them anything for it, but when they post it on Facebook or Twitter or on their websites, they see my radio station logo and then hear their commercial. So we have to market too. Twin Falls County Fair, we're going to be the, Star 107 is going to be the outdoor stage sponsor. This huge banner we're hanging for the Twin Falls County Fair. We did it last year where they wrestled alligators.
Wow.
But this year we're going bigger. Yeah. Does that answer your question? I always get off on a tangent, I'm sorry.
Well, that's great. It definitely did. And then, so when you said you worked for Cat and Hurley, right?
I did.
Didn't they
Before it
used
was
to do,
even Cat.
Is it when Penny Main worked there?
Yeah, I worked with Penny.
Yeah, I love Penny.
Yeah.
So she was telling me years ago, like the radio stations used to bring in a lot of concerts. Is that true? Like the station would put on a concert. I was wondering why your stations in Sun Valley don't do that.
The only concerts we have a lot of small venues in Sun Valley. Sun Valley's a very live music place. I mean, there's live music everywhere, but smaller venues. The biggest one is at the Sun Valley Pavilion. Last year was Kenny Loggins. Year before that it was the Doobie Brothers, and I got to go backstage to both.
Wow.
This year they haven't announced it yet, but you really have to have a venue. And usually the people that own the venue will do it unless you're like Taco Bell Arena. You know, we are going to be working with Jackpot on some of their concerts soon.
Very cool.
Yeah, because they have a new advertising agency.
Yes, because I think there's some people in this area that don't want to listen to country and would love to attend some concerts by some of the people on Case. You know?
Well, have you all heard of the Rock Canyon Amphitheater?
No, where's that at?
That's over by, you know where Will's Toyota is? Okay. It was started last summer. In fact, they hired me. I emceed the concerts last year because I'm old school. And they were like Great White. Remember Great White? Once bitten, twice shy?
In
And
Sun Valley or Twin?
Here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we're going to do it again this year. It's an outdoor amphitheater. A lot of people invested a lot of money to bring more concerts to Twin Falls.
That's exciting.
And one of the reasons that it hasn't been done is because they are very expensive. A lot of entertainers want upfront deposit money over $100,000. And the cost for the concert itself to bring them in can be upwards of $250,000. And then you add security and food and parking and everything else that goes with it. And you can end up with tickets that need to cost as a break-even point $75 to $100. And people in this area are not necessarily going to be willing to pay $125 to $150 for a concert ticket that isn't top of the line. And being able to have the facility so that you can have enough people to warrant those lower cost tickets takes space. And we're just now as a town getting to a point where we can have those larger venue locations. So it will come, it's just, we have to grow into it.
It's a nice facility. I mean, they tore down the buildings over there by, what's the name of that?
Was it by Honkers, like where Honkers was?
No, I don't think so. There's another bar over there. What's the famous diner over there?
The Depot Grill.
It's over by the Depot Grill,
Oh, cool.
that area. Yeah. And the Gallegos brothers own that. I played softball in Burley with one of them
Oh, fun.
when I was over in Burley.
Any idea what the seat count is?
What's that?
What the space count?
Last year we didn't have any crowds over like 400, but they can get up to like 900, 1,000 people in there.
Wow.
Yeah, 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 it's gonna be nice. Just remember Rock Canyon Amphitheater. They're gonna do all kinds of genre, including, they're gonna do some urban and Latino, 80s rock, some alternative. They're gonna try to do a lot of different things.
Maybe we can get some internships going. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Get you guys working for them.
The most fun working at a radio station is when you get to go backstage at concerts. That's fun. Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, meeting Bon Jovi was really cool.
Other questions?
I'm just interested in owning a radio station, to be honest.
Yeah, you know what?